We're live.
Yeah, we're live. Welcome back. This is one of the things that we enjoy doing now, going live here in this group to talk about not just the Outlier Podcast Festival, but all the different things that we got going on.
Life in general.
Our special guest, Arielle Nissenblatt, who's one of the partners here at the Outlier Podcast Festival, has been with us from the very beginning. Arielle, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Ever. Glad to be here. Happy Tuesday morning.
Is it Tuesday morning? I forget.
I know.
It's hard to keep track nowadays.
My friend yesterday was like, oh, it's only Monday. And I was like, yeah, but what does that mean?
Nowadays, what does it mean for sure?
Yeah.
Let's one of the things that that you're in charge of with this podcast festival, among other things, the emceeing and all the other good stuff that you do. One of your babies is the EarBuds Pitch competition, right? Where we bring in new ideas for shows or shows that have been around for up to 6 months, and we have them pitch their ideas to a panel of independent judges, and the winners get some prizes, and it's been a lot of fun. One of the funnest things that we do at the in-person podcast festival, and so now we're going to do this virtually, and so we wanted to have you on here to kind of talk about what's going to happen, how it's going to work, and who should join.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've done it for the past, I think we started it at our festival in Austin last year. That was about a full year ago. We had some amazing speakers. We wanted to give the prize to 2 people. Unfortunately, we could only give it to 1. But I've kept in touch with a lot of the people who have presented, and their projects have done really well over the years. So it's been great. It seems like the EarBuds Pitch competition has been a great way to catapult you into really doing your podcast, really doing what you said you were going to do.
You know, and it's one of those things where when we first started this, I was thinking, well, we're going to get a lot of pitches about interview shows, just about different topics and things like that. But we've had some great stuff come around. So we did, we did Austin, we did Denver, we did LA.
Yeah.
And now we're doing this. And there are a lot of great shows that have come out of this.
Yeah, I have some standouts at the Austin Festival. We heard from Ivy Lee. She has a podcast called FOGO, Fear of Going Outside. Hilarious. Her pitch was so funny. And then I wasn't at the Denver Festival, but did any of them stand out to you?
Yeah, we've had quite a lot of community-based type of shows, block by block stories of that block, because there's so much history there, that the people that were putting it together were, just doing great stories, great storytellers out of the Denver area, which was
definitely
about.
Especially, they work with Kat Jaffe, so honestly, anybody that Kat works with is going to be amazing. She's great.
She's done a great job putting that Denver community together, and to kind of support it there. And big shout out to Kat and House of Potter there in Denver.
Yeah, and also
LA had a connection there with LA. One of the winners was a friend, right?
Yeah, a friend, my old roommate, and I step away from it because I'm not a judge. I just have my EarBuds name on the name. But David Schwartzbaum and Aaron Land, they pitched a podcast on Nazi hunters, and they're still working on researching it, but they won because it was such a devastatingly poignant pitch that they did, and they won, and they're working on it. It's a process because they want to do it as a scripted show. And then I forget, I think it was Amazon came out with a series on Nazi hunters. So then they were watching that to see what they wanted to do differently and if it was popular and successful. And I don't think it was ultimately. So there's just going to be a better IP situation than that.
Yeah, with their background and their idea, they were, without a doubt, the winners of that LA show, just because of what they're doing. Now we're going to do this a little bit different here. Obviously, now that it's a virtual summit coming up in May.
Oh, let me give one more shout out. Actually, we also did the pitch competition in Salt Lake City this past January.
Yeah.
And we had some great pitches as well. We had Rachel Knoll from Poems for People. She always gives a really great presentation. And then the winner of that was Marcos Villangran, I think.
Yeah.
And his podcast was called The Barber Buzz or something like that. He's basically, I don't know how it's working right now, but he's a barber and he has great conversations with the people in his chair. And he gave such an awesome pitch. He even brought his the thing that you wear when you're in the barber seat. And then he like made it snap. It was really, really impactful on the judges.
Just like with our speakers, the pitches that we get, obviously people write a paragraph of what their podcast is or is going to be, and then some different things that they want to do with it. And a lot of times it doesn't translate into, on paper. When I read his,
Right.
I was like, oh, great, this will work. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But like you were saying, it's his presentation, his pitch
Right.
that really sold it. And I think that's what happens with a lot of our speakers as well. They pitch their sessions to us to see if they can be involved. And a lot of times I like to get on the call with them because it doesn't translate. Same thing with the pitches. So as you submit your pitches here, and we'll tell you how to do it here in just a bit.
And we have a sort of unique challenge for this pitch competition, obviously, because it's going to be all on. It's going to be a little two-dimensional, but there are definitely ways. I think when quarantine/isolation first started, I was nervous about all of these festivals and all of these things that were going to have to come into the computer world rather than the in-person world. And I've actually noticed that people have adapted, and people really have learned to become people have really figured out how to give themselves a leg up, even though we don't have that much ability on the screen. I think, people if you're a creative person, it's going to translate no matter what. And it's been amazing to see how people have like rolled with the punches.
Yeah. So now let's talk about how those that want to pitch their idea. Again, if it's a new idea, you're more than welcome to pitch. If it's a podcast that's been around less than 6 years or 6 months,
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months, you can register as well. So now they email you or me, and we'll have the info here in the comment section in a bit. But what are we looking for when it comes to the pitch competition?
What are we looking for when it comes to the pitch competition?
Yeah, we came up with 3 different things that we want to, we kind of want to really see, right? Creativity, diversity, and durability. Let's talk about those.
Yeah. So there are a lot of podcasts out there. There are now 1 million podcasts out there, 1 million plus, and growing every day. And a lot of those are people who just want to get together with their friends and talk about whatever. And that doesn't have much direction. And we're looking for something a little bit more directed. My whole thing when it comes to podcasts is be transparent, be consistent, and break up your content into seasons. So we're looking for a show that is not only going to have a great first season, but will continue, unless of course it's a limited run series, and that'll be obvious in your pitch. So what we're looking for really is we want a pitch that's going to stand out and let us know exactly what you're doing from point A to point B, how you're going to get there, and what special things are going to happen along the way. And we really want to know why it's going to sustain, why people are going to want to tune in. And I think that generally covers it. Anything to add to that?
No, yeah, like you said, something that's going to kind of stand out from the crowd, right? I will take any pitch, but the 5 finalists that we're going to choose to pitch live virtually, it has to stand out. It has to be something a little bit different, something that's creative, something that's going to last too.
Yeah,
right?
I always say with podcasts, everybody's done a show where they talk to their friend about their day, like that. That's the easiest thing to do. That's the easiest thing to do. But one way to make that stand out is, make your podcast, make it, hey, this podcast is recorded with my buddy. We talk about the weather. We talk about our days, but we do it standing on our head. That is interesting. That gives you a little bit of a weird thing that makes me want to listen to it, because maybe it'll be a little bit different now that you're standing on your head, and like, hey, maybe you're standing on your head. Maybe you're not standing on your head. Nobody can tell. There's no video in podcasts, but now I'm a little bit more hooked because you have something weird going on. Give us something weird. That's how you'll make it to the 5 finalists.
Well, let's talk about like your podcast. It's weird. It's different.
It's so weird. Yeah.
Right? Let's give us a little idea of what you got going on.
Yeah. So I started a podcast during quarantine with my friend Shira Moskowitz. We were kind of like getting very anxious about all the sad and scary coronavirus news. So we thought, let's start a podcast. And it started with a joke of an idea to call it counter programming, to have it be some sort of programming that did not have anything to do with what was going on mainly in the news. So we thought, okay, great, let's call it counter programming. And then we thought, let's do it only on things that have the word counter in the title. So our first series is on countertops. We hit wood, granite, marble, and steel. And then our next series is going to be on Count Dracula and Count Von Count. Then we're going to go to counter productivity and counterfeiting coins. Lots of things. There's, this could go on forever. So yeah, our thing there is like our niche. Mm-hmm. Yeah, our niche is that we stick with the word counter, and we do weird things with the word counter, and then we let our personality sail the rest of the way and hope that latches a few people.
So if you weren't already part of this whole thing with the festival and the pitch competition, that would have been a perfect podcast pitch at something like this. It's different. It has staying power, right? You can go from counter this to counter that for many, many seasons. If
right. And even if eventually the restrictions lift, we can easily pivot with one of my tenets of podcast production, which is to be transparent and say, hey, everybody, we're switching gears. And even though we're not always hearing bad news about COVID-19 anymore, we're still going to do this counter thing because you've all been loving it. And thank you so much for loving it and supporting us.
So we're going to have a link in the comment section here in just a bit for the podcast pitch competition. It basically gives you all the information. Open enrollment it's open now. We end May 6th. We announce the winners a few days later. We're going to pick the top 5 finalists.
They'll get emails, right?
They all get emails. They all get instructions on what to do. They're going to pitch for 2 minutes. They're going to have Q&A for 3 minutes. And it's going to be live, and we're going to broadcast it here in this group. Our judges are going to be here listening and asking questions, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're giving away a professional microphone, some production services from some of our sponsors, and we're adding a few more things as well that we're going to be announcing here in just a bit. But again, this is always the fun part of the festival because it always kind of surprises me of the talent that kind of comes and is out there that's willing to do this and that hasn't already started a podcast for sure.
Yeah. So this is a good time if you've been thinking about a podcast, this is a good time to pitch it. And of course, think about that niche, think about what's going to set you apart. I know we got a few submissions already, and we're already very impressed by the direction that they're going in. And it's been interesting to see who comes out of the woodwork to pitch what their brain is thinking.
That's right. And it's great. I love the diversity. I love the creativity of this group and beyond. And so we encourage all of you to do it. Again, links are going to be in the comment section. Sign up today. Email us your application, and then we'll go from there. Arielle, thanks. Any parting shots? Anything you need to let everybody else listening know?
Wash your hands and keep listening to podcasts.
Look at you, always on top. Great. Guys, we'll talk to you a little bit later. See ya.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Boom.